crazy to see where you've come from. You know, a complete beginner a few years ago. Like I literally remember speaking to you, and you really didn't have any idea about analysis.
I had nothing to do with anything. I didn't even know what a chart was. I didn't know.
Just overall. So is that 2 days worth of trading profit? 12,000.
Right. Uh, 2 hours on Wednesday, 3 hours on Wednesday, we'll call it, and then Thursday, Friday,
So what was the total profit over those 3 days?
14 flat, and I called it because it was a nice even number.
I love it. Hi guys, Nick DeFlorio here on Rising Traders. I'm going to do a few more of these episodes, but I've been waiting to get this man on, Daniel Lorae. He's hard to get onto. He's very busy, busier than me probably. But
Ooh.
Dan, like, I want to take it back to when we first started trading. Talk a little bit about what's going on now because you've had a big journey. Mate, tell us about when was the date you first spoke to me? Do you remember? Like, was it 2022 or?
Yeah, we should prep this. I reckon 2021.
Yeah.
Just going off my trading view because I just had to change accounts and everything like that. So it was 2021, early 2021. I think we did have a bit of interaction in 2020, but the internet's a very big and wide thing. And to be honest, I'll be honest. I'm not saying you're shifty, but it's just hard to trust someone when you're putting X amount of money into something. And I was running a full-time electrical business, and
Yeah.
it was more like, can this work for me?
Yeah.
And can I trust the other person who's going to teach me? It's a completely different concept. So I think we had an interaction.
It was a phone call, wasn't it?
It was I think it was, yeah, I had a phone call. So
you watched my initial trading webinar though. That was running back then.
I actually remember. So we were on the couch. It was a rainy day. I had nothing to do. My wife was watching a movie. I wasn't interested, so I was flicking through YouTube and I had started looking at some crypto, like just investing into crypto, like everybody was 2020, 2019, 2020. And so I remember looking at your video and I was just like, something engaged me. Maybe it was your good looks. Maybe it was the video itself. And then I was like, I gotta go because I was watching on my phone. And then I transferred from my phone and I found the YouTube clip again and watched on the computer. And my wife came in after I watched it. What are you doing? I'm like, no, there's something about here. I don't know what it is. I don't know what exactly, but I need to investigate more. So then I tried to look at you up, Trustpilot, everything else. Everything came good. And yeah, so we had a chat and I kind of let it sit on the back burner, did a little bit more.
Let's talk about what you did at that time though. So you didn't decide to enroll with us. You went, we won't name the company, but you went with another company.
Yeah, so I went with another company due to the fact of coming from a back, like just the background of the person I am actually a completely different mindset of person from pre-journey of trading and where I am now.
Yeah.
I wanted someone to hold my hand or go through the process together, as in there's the educational, there's an educational part, and then I wanted to become like part of a team or a part of a team environment, go in, check out like a normal job.
Yeah.
Which I probably wouldn't like now, knowing what I know. But I wanted to check in, check out, be part of a team, have someone hold my hand. But I think I wanted that because that in my head meant that I was protected.
Yeah.
Coming from that worker mindset. That 9 to 5 mindset is you go to work, you get paid, you get the money, and the circle goes.
You're like, if it's face to face, I have to show up, sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah. That way, I can be part of a team, or I could be part of that environment. Which I did a 3-day weekend course, and we did a live trade. I think that live trade might have been okay on the chat, but something just didn't feel right. And long story short, the world's so big, but the trading community is big and small. And I gave you a call back and said, hey, I'm in a situation. I'm actually not one of your clients at the moment.
Yeah, you weren't even a client right now. Yeah.
I said, can I just ask your personal opinion? Because I've spoken to you and I think you're a lot more natural and just this is what it is. And you weren't putting any
sugarcoat.
Yeah, sugarcoat on it. So you gave me your honest opinion. Hey, I actually know of this company. Yes, I believe they can trade, and we do talk, and they can trade, but it's just not my trading style. I don't think you're going to get what you want out of them. And I said, all right, cool. And then I signed up, and then Onyx 1.0.
Yeah, a long time ago now, man. Yeah.
So I was on the very back end of that. process, because when I had done 1.0, you'd kind of got the ball rolling on 2.0.
Course. Yeah.
So kind of got into the community. The difficult part for me was running the business, the electrical business with probably would have had about 12 to 15 people on the books by then.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a full-on part of my life. But trading just kind of hooked me because of the new challenge.
Yeah.
I had been doing electrical for 14 years at that point. Started when I was 16 and a half, and then I was in my early 30s. So
when I said to you,
yeah.
like when you came on board with us and we're educating you, when I said to you, you can do this full time, I think you've got it in you, like you're doing really well. Did you believe it?
No, I think it's two things. It's believing in yourself to go through this. I probably didn't get it as easy as some people, but that was because of my personality. I had to find everybody's got to find their groove into the charts. Everybody's going to have. So you can have the best product in the world, but if someone tries to be like Nick, it's not going to work.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I'm not you. Like we're very even
different
catching
traders.
up. We're just different traders with different personalities.
Yeah.
Everybody's different. Where I don't think I could have. I didn't, without the trading avenue. I don't think I. My life 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, to now is completely different. So we'll probably touch on that.
Give us an update on now. Like we'll just jump straight. So are you trading full time? Is that like one of the main income sources right now?
Yep. So I probably did about a year and a half of it on and off. Like I was doing months. Like at the start, I was full on. I was all in because that's my personality. I was trading it, and that's it. Not because I wanted to make millions, because I think if you come into the game of trading trying to make millions, well, yes, you can make money. If you want to make millions overnight, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
You're going to either put too much pressure on yourself, you're going to cook yourself out. If you come into it, if I can learn this skill, and no one can take this skill away from you, since when you've learned the skill, you can make money whenever you want, whatever
as much as you want, really.
Yeah,
depending on capital. Yeah,
and then it just comes down to there's a greed factor, which you're going to know your limits, and so many other factors. But I went from all right, I'm all in, and my wife was like, "You got to stop." So we had a kind of a month off. I'm pretty sure you told me to stop. I was full on, and
remember I told you to slow down, man. Like,
yeah,
you're trying to get to full time way too quick, and you got a lot of stuff going on with the business. I was like, it's gonna happen, but just slow down, dude.
I hit a brick wall, and probably don't recommend doing that. It's literally the analysis. You just overanalyze, you overthink about the market. You become too knowledgeable, and then having too much knowledge, and you become frightful of the market, or you think the market's against you, or there's so many mind factors that come into it. So I had a bit of a break, came back into it. That was kind of the end of the year. So as we know, with Forex, crypto is a little bit different, but Forex kind of dies down. It will probably die down in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah,
and then in about Feb we'll pick up again. So that kind of period happened. And then it kind of got back into the journey. But I really enjoyed the challenge. And that's all I was after. Because I was making enough money what I was doing.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I needed to come and trading was my answer to finding more money. I was making enough money. I was happy with what I was making. And so I look back now, what I was making is probably not enough.
Yeah.
But I was happy with what I was making. So having a bit of consistency on the charts, I then was like, hey, I can do this. And I think that belief with anybody, if you think you can do something, you can only suck at something for so long.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that's the honest truth. You can always be an average person. Like if you played a sport and you wanted and you love the sport, the very worst case scenario, you're going to become average.
Yeah, you're going to be better than most.
The average income for a trader is better than someone doing 9 to 5. And that's what people got to realize. You don't even have to be the best. You just have to get your edge in the market and do it time and time and time again, and do it enough, and you could equal your 9 to 5.
Well, we've seen it with guys in my group, like they're not that serious. They do it here and there, but they're still making $6-7 grand a month.
Yep.
That's more than a $4,000 salary a month, So you just took it to the next level where you're like, okay, I'm selling the business up. I'm done with that. Too many employees, too much time. Everything's just getting too much. You want to move into something like trading. Now, like put it into perspective. What's your average month? Like when you have a good cracking trading month, when you have a good week, for example, like what does that look like?
So I stopped putting pressure on myself like that, and it actually made my trading better.
Yep.
So I trade with a 50K account.
Yep.
And I'll up it, but once again, I still consider myself a non-professional, so I don't want to put too much pressure on me. So I gave myself small percentages per day. So I'm at 50K roughly. My aim was to make originally $500
Yep.
a day, which is 1%
Yep.
of your account, which you break it down. Let's say you risk 0.25%, that's a 4 to 1.
Yeah, 1 4 1 trade.
Very achievable for
Minimal risk.
For minimal risk. It doesn't mean you're going to blow your account. It doesn't mean you're going to do anything massive if you can have a bad day. The only thing you do, which is part of the mental state, is when to know you're not having a good day and when to know, all right, I can get myself out of that situation. So I gave myself little targets and I've given myself major goals over time. So I'm still within my first year. So I finished up my business in March. I'm still part of that business, helping out and whatever. But I don't have to deal with people day to day, which is the mindset which I need to get rid of that so that way I could focus on one thing. My target was originally 500-ish. My target's now 1,000
a day.
A day.
It's amazing, man.
And it's one of those things, give yourself small targets and then big things can become of those targets. If I give myself a small target and I go into the trading day, because I trade the 1 minute, the 1 minute, 5 minute. I found if I gave myself smaller targets, I achieved them, and that kind of gave you enough confidence to go, all right, well, I've achieved it. Let's see how the market produces its next steps.
And then you only take the highest probability.
Yeah. And then you get real picky.
Yeah.
And then the more picky you become, you're not going to have those little losers.
Yeah.
And then which I'll show my account when we get around to it. You're going to lose. And you got to be aware of you are going to lose. I think my mindset, I didn't want to lose. And if you have that mindset, if you don't want to lose, when you do lose, it's going to hurt. And that pain is that going to cause you to overtrade, over leverage,
revenge trade,
regret, all those things that you'll tell a friend, don't do this, but then you exactly go and do it.
Yeah.
And then you get off the computer and you're just like, what did I just do?
Yeah.
I've blown I haven't blown a live account. I've blown a lot of demos doing what I've done.
Man, I've blown a live account.
Yeah.
In the early days, man, like exactly the same as you. The thing with me is I never had targets. I was always looking to outdo what the normal was in trading. Like people say, just go for 2 times your risk a day. So if your risk is 3%, try and get 2-3 hours a day.
Yeah.
With me, it was like I can get more than that. So I always used to try and push the limits, and I think that's where I got into a bit of the trouble. But with what I teach in the course and all the stuff, because I haven't taken you to where you are now. I'm not going to take responsibility for that. I've taught you the fundamental principles early on, and I believe it had a big impact on your trading. But I feel like you only found profitability because you found your style, right? Yeah. With the fundamentals that I taught, you've edited it, you've created a new perception of the market based on what works, right? And I think it's a big thing for everyone. They come into my program, for example, and they find success, right? Small success. They might be profitable, right? But there's a difference between getting profitable and consistently profitable.
Yeah.
And I think you only get consistently profitable when you master yourself. And that's what me and you were speaking about the other day. Like you said, 100%. I can have the best educational program in the world, teach you guys the proper things to do, the right analysis, the right risk management, the psychology side, understanding the numbers, drawdown, average reward per trade.
Know all that.
But it's execution that matters. So what did you do to sort of separate the education that I taught you? Because, you said to me, it was great. It helped me heaps, man. Like I wouldn't be here today, but I've had to find my own way. So what is that fine line? When did you find that?
All right. So I reckon the first step, it was the education, number one. All right. You got to form yourself in some type of education. You got to know what's in the market. You got to know your highs, lows, whatever. You can know all that technical stuff, tick that box off and get that. Okay. What is the market presenting? I think that's the first step in there. So you get what is the market presenting? So it's going up. It's got high highs, it's got high lows, it's going up. All right, cool. So you have to get all that in your head. So the next step is, all right, the community. So without a Discord community, like people could do it, but I think what people don't look, I don't reckon people look at Discord as what they should. If people look at someone's results, I started going, all right, you post a trade, for example, and I was after, like, you can post a percentage and stuff like that. That's fantastic. I feel like I feel great for everybody. If anybody makes any money during trading, I'm happy for them.
Yeah,
and I was always happy for them.
They're beating 90% of other people, man.
Yeah. And I was always, but then I started going, all right. So then I started looking at people's charts and going, what did they do to enter that trade to make them better than me?
Yeah, yeah.
So start learning off other people of, okay, where did they, and then go plot that on the chart and then go, all right, what, and then try and work out in your head, okay, why would they enter there?
Yeah.
And why they obviously won that. So
reverse engineer it.
Reverse engineer that part. And then you have to put yourself in a live situation, which you can only do for so long on a demo, because then you start losing that
20% of your account and you think it's
you lose that bug in your, like when you put your first trades on and you eventually lose it, you get that bug and it's like, I hope this goes right. I hope I'm right here. You get a feeling and then eventually you lose that feeling, but you get that feeling of, all right, hopefully this is right. You're stressed and your heartbeat's going 160 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then it either goes good or it goes bad. I think when it goes bad, people react in such a bad way because that's who we are as humans. And when it goes good, they overlook the good.
Yeah.
And they move on too quickly as well.
Correct.
So people are not taking the good in what they are and break that down. They're not taking the Discord community in where, all right, let's look at what people are doing. And then reverse engineer that. And then I just literally put myself in a situation where I had that mindset of, hey, we kind of mentioned it before, you can only suck for so long.
Yeah.
So it's either two ways. You're going to be naturally good at trading and you're going to run with it. Or I believe I'm in this category, I have to work for it.
Yeah.
And I worked at it and I said, all right, I opened up a demo account every day if I needed to. I would go on, you got heaps. Fusion markets, if you want to go with FTMO, it's like you got all these ones that you can go, you can go, there's third parties for crypto. You can even do it on TradingView, open a TradingView.
Yeah, simulator account.
Yeah, open a TradingView account and then just trade this account. And keep on entering whatever you think. So you're going to overtrade at the start, but keep on entering for what you think. And then you're going to just get hit after hit. And then you start, all right, if I put my stop loss here, if I just entered here, or if I did this, you'll become that 1% better every day. And then eventually, I honestly just found I eventually ran out of sucking.
Yeah.
You can only lose for so long before you start going, hang on, don't do this, hang on, don't do that. I did really good this week. What did I do right?
So just to break it down simply, it sounds like you're saying the first thing you need is an initial fundamental basis of what's actually happening on the chart.
100%. Without that, you're just going to make it too hard for yourself. If you think you can do it by yourself, you can do it. No doubt people have done it. Yeah. How long can you do?
The second is you're saying that you need people around you that are better than you. So you
100%.
can engineer what they're doing. And then the third thing that you just said, to break that down like a complex point that you made down to something distilled, you sort of said, this is what I'm hearing. You have to know, you have to take trades, you have to have time in the market to start knowing if you're actually on point with the direction of the market.
Yeah.
Because I agree with you. I think people don't even know how to trade with the trend and they're over trading. So like my first thing to tell someone is, as long as you get the direction right, I don't care if your stop loss gets hit. As long as your directionality of the market bias is right, it's all about just optimizing where you got in. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's like saying
100%. And it goes the complete opposite way and shift structure, then you weren't just wrong on the premise of the trade. You were completely wrong on the bias of the direction. And I think that's a big thing.
Yeah, correct. So like say for example, let's just call, we're going to fib pool everything. And we're only going to fib pool. And then you start creating data. I'm going to enter on the 61 fib every time. I don't care. I don't care. So then you start building that data. But then you put your stop loss, okay? And then you put your stop loss either too tight because people always want to make a 6 to 1 sound better than a 3 to 1. I don't care what you say.
Exactly.
And so then you go, all right, I'm going to put my stop loss up. Or you might have your stop loss in an area and it goes pretty good the next one. But then you see someone else get a 6 to 1. You're like, oh, they had
Go up a bit, yeah.
yeah, I'm going to put my stop loss up a bit, but they haven't taken into account. They've already got other data in their head that you don't have yet.
Yeah.
So you go, all right, cool. Then, all right, it could be the principle of the 61 fib just isn't for your mindset, and you have to enter deeper in the market, or you have to wait for that little bit more confirmation, or you have to wait for a little bit. So you're going to get that data, and then you just have to keep on getting that data for yourself. Where okay, like you said, it's going in the right way. Okay, you hit the 72 fib and then went to my direction, not the 61. All right, enter too early. But if it's just going through your stop loss every time, you're going to go, all right, well,
I don't understand market structure. That's a market thing. And I think what you said is spot on. And I think just to add on to that, there's three things in trading that me and you speak about, and it's a well-known thing, right? You've got your entry, your stop loss, and you take profit. What do you believe is the hardest one to master?
For me, for what I do is my entry, but that's for what I do. I run with a 3 to 5 pip stop loss.
Yeah.
So,
so you have to be.
my position in the market is, I'm not going to say bang on, but it has to be pretty close. 5 pips on a yen pair is nothing. 5 pips on an EU kind of trade is a little bit breathable.
Yeah.
But I'm putting myself.
Get it.
Yeah, I'm putting myself in that. I'm putting myself in that situation where I got to be right. You got to always run with a stop loss. Which my stop. So you got, for me, it's my entry. If you're on a larger scale OB, your entry is, of course, number one. But people stop loss in the market, don't try and cheat the market.
Yeah.
The market's going to get you. It's manipulated.
Yeah.
Don't think you can outsmart the market. So put your stop loss in an area. So you got a stop loss. So in my frame, I put my stop loss in an area where I'm not wrong, but I'm trying to test the market.
Yeah.
If that doesn't work, you go and put your stop loss in a market position where you are wrong.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So just to break that down for the beginners. So once you get into a trade, your first execution, right, is where you're trying to maximize the reward and minimize the risk of the trade, correct?
Because I can break even quicker and get my risk to reward a little bit more in my favor. Where if the market does run, I'm in a really good position. If it comes back really quick, my stop loss is gone. If it comes back, it can break even.
Yeah. And then you're saying if that trade is stopped out and there's still, let's just say, another supply level or demand level building inside of that larger level that you did trade off,
you play it safer.
Placement of the stop needs to be where it's wrong because it's already come back. Yeah.
And for my set of rules, I give myself 3 opportunities to enter a trade, which based on my data is enough. If I go over 3, that's and I say this 3 as in like some people are entering once and that's their style. But for my style and my percentage of my data, I give myself 3, and I mean strict 3. I get off the computer, I go see my wife, daughter, whatever. I give myself a 5-minute break, and that's enough for me to come back in the room, see where the new sentiment of the market is, whether it's gone in my direction and it's just not my day, or it's gone against me and I was wrong anyway. So I've got 2 options there, and for me, 5 minutes is enough for me to then register in my head what's going on.
Trading's a data game, and man, like it's perfect what you said. I think you need to know your win rate. You need to know what trade setup favors the way that I trade. And also you have to know where am I wrong in the trade? You know, for you, it's not where you want to be completely wrong. You're looking for favorable reward. But there's a lot of people that don't trade on 5 pip stop losses, and they do have a little bit wider. And I think the biggest tip for them, and tell me if you agree, is that stop trying to fit the stop loss to increase reward. You have to fit. The reward should just be a natural occurrence of a good trade setup. Do you know what I mean? Stop trying to force a 4 or 5 to 1. If it's not there, doesn't mean you halve your risk. You know what I mean? Because ultimately you're going to be wrong on the trade before the market actually tells you different. Does that make sense?
I think if I could go back in time, I think I'd rather get more 1-to-ones with a
Mm.
bigger stop loss than try and get a 3-to-1.
And
Even
that's
though mathematically speaking, to be profitable, you need to have a 3-to-1. Everybody knows that math. You've done the math. That's the most basic principle. You're going to have eventually a good enough risk reward. Otherwise, you're going to have to be right all the time. But stop trying to cheat it. Get your 1-to-1. Take your data. You've at least made a little bit of money.
that's what I was going to say before. Like, remember how I was speaking about people need to get, like, let's just say the market moves like this, right? Because that's what a real trend looks like.
Yeah, it's messy.
People need to get, and this is what I'm saying about stops. It's like people need to actually understand direction. It doesn't matter about reward to start, as long as you can get direction. Because ultimately, the only problem with people putting their stops so low, let's just say you entered here, is that you lost the trade, price came to hit your stop, and you were still right on the direction. So you're right on the direction of the bias, but you're wrong on the entry. And I think if people just reverse engineer that, they need to start forgetting about rewards so quickly. Just get the direction right.
Get the data.
Because then you start optimizing this and increasing reward over time.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying here?
I think it's a lot less painful on, I would say, 80% of the population's mindset.
Mm.
Because when you get that stop loss hit, I don't care who you are. If you're trying something and you're trying your hardest, like, I'll be honest, I've broken keyboards. I've cried at the computer. I've done everything apart from destroy a screen, but my screens are probably worth a little bit too much. I've destroyed a lot of stuff just getting frustrated, where if I look back in time and just said, hey dude, you're trying to conquer too much. Just get your data and just data collect. And the more data you collect, you're going to know where to put your stop loss, because even if you got a 1-to-1 at the very, very, very start of your trading career, I think getting a 1-to-1 but not getting to 1-to-1 and going, yeah, I won this trade, open up the stop loss. You got a 50-50 chance at 1-to-1, whether you're going to be wrong.
Yeah.
But it's literally, if you've got your stop underneath the next low, well, that 50% of your favor is you're wrong. And if it goes into your direction, you are correct. It might little around in your drawdown for a little while. But all right, it went 50% into my stop loss. Where can I maybe look at that next time? So you've either got two things. You've either got to refine your entry, and then your stop loss could be in the same position of where it was because you've just refined your entry, or your entries are really good, and you can bring your stop loss up.
Your target
entries are good.
Higher. Because if you're entering lower and you keep the same target, there's more upside. You know what I mean? So, and that's what people don't understand. It's like entries are so important because it's essentially the crux of the position that you're in, because ultimately your stop loss going up is going to increase your reward naturally because your target compared to your reward is just larger. But if you move your entry down and then move your stop loss to where your take profit to where it initially was, that also increases reward. So there's two things that increase reward, right? It's the upside potential, which is the target, and then also the minimization of risk. And it all comes down to where you're getting in. So man, like, it's spot on. Bro, let's jump straight into the good part. How much did you make last week in your trading?
So I no tax, man. No. I'll share my screen.
Yeah.
I think you can let me.
I love it how you've got the real raw data of how much you made.
Yeah.
I'll let you know when I can see the screen.
See that one?
Yep.
I just snipped it. Not all of it. Keep in mind, this is probably a lot of trades for people, but I'm after very, very particular marks in the market, and I'm classified as a scalper.
Yep.
So before you even break these down, I've got a couple more up further I had, but okay, that's just my personality. I don't think you'll probably enter this many in a month, but this is I like to get on with sessions. I do a London Open, like a London Open for the Forex people, and I do New York. If New York's going to give me something that I want, I do New York. Um, if it doesn't, I got to be happy with London. Okay, so I gave myself two situations, and this will be the same for everybody. You can't stay up 24 hours. I tried at the start; it's impossible. It's either you're going to burn yourself out, give yourself a stress rash. I did that. And it's impossible. So then I broke it down. All right, let's just focus on London and then try the best I can possibly do at London. I think that's what you were going to ask yourself. So, like I said, I give myself 3 goes at something, which I can show you up in this area here. So, I either enter 0.25 or 0.5 on my account.
Yeah.
Which going through the type of trader that you are is plenty for what I do.
But that's your risk appetite.
Yes.
Yeah.
So someone like yourself, you're a different personality. I think you can enter and it doesn't phase you. I've seen you. And it doesn't phase you with your drawdown. It doesn't phase you, just go on living life. You go to bed. Like I just can't do that. Like I wouldn't sleep, but you'll go to bed, you wake up 6 a.m., send me a message sometimes. It's still going good. I'm like, dude, I would not be sleeping right now. But you can see here, I trade a lot of pairs. I'm not a very people go, all right, I can only trade X amount. Yeah, you can trade X amount, but if UJ present something that you want, doesn't mean you can't trade UJ.
Of course, you're just trading price, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've become very good at just knowing what the market kind of wants to do. And I know I have a lot of data, like a lot of data in my head where it could be part of the session and I know what they want to do.
Yeah.
Not on any technical analysis. I just know that what they are doing in a way where I'm just waiting.
Yeah.
So the 1 minute might be super fast for people. It's actually slow for me at times because I've slowed everything down in my head to have enough data where I have to bring a lot of data in, but it's all happening at a slower rate now.
So just let me know. So this is 2 days of data.
This is Wednesday. Wednesday, I spoke to you.
Yeah.
And I said, yep. And then I only said to you, keep in mind, I don't know, it's Wednesday here. Wednesday the 12th. Sorry, the 6th. No, the 6th is here. I had a pretty good day on the 6th. I gave myself the $1,000 target, and I sent you a message, $1,000 a day, kind of done. And then I was just sitting on the couch and like opened up, and then I came back and I made a little bit more. But you'll see even I know that you can't see the times in reality because that's the brokerage time.
Yeah, it's different time.
It's different time.
But like and like so 14,000 over a few days, like compare that to running like your business, for example. Like, has this just allowed you to be way more flexible and free with your time? Like I know obviously your business that you sold made a lot of money, but to make 14,000 over a few days of trading, like what does that feel like for you?
It's probably like as a business owner, it's 40 hours of
grafting
work time. And then everybody knows, especially with that many, like I don't even know that wasn't even a big company. It would be a normal 60 to 70 hours a week because it's not like you just go home and you switch off.
Yeah.
It's not like the charts. The market doesn't care if you're there or not.
Yeah.
And that's what you got to get through your head. The market doesn't care when you're there or not, which is great for me now because it's almost like a client to a degree where if you have a client, you're doing a big job with them, you're almost partners until that job's finishes. So as a business owner, it was always my concern to make sure the customer was always happy. And to do that, you never switch off.
Yeah.
So we're talking 70 hours a week. I'll wake up at 4:30, come home at 6, 7.
And like just for the people, like because I like to use it as motivational. Like everyone here knows that because we're showing them your results doesn't mean they're going to go out there and get the exact same results. Like this is
keep in mind, I only gave myself $1,000. like this is not the best week. This is a good week. But you give yourself a small target, and then see how my mindset. Like I sent you the message on Wednesday. I was like, $1,000, I'm done. And then I came back, but
Came
I
back a
was
few hours
super
later.
picky.
Yeah.
And then I was super picky in what I wanted to see, and that $1,000 bankrolled into more. Because I think because I had when I sent you that message, my first trade on this account was $1,400. So then I gave myself, all right, I'm mentally happy with $1,000. So then I was able to risk the portion of the profit for the day onto my next trade. Where I was either happy with $1,400, you walk away, or you find something. I came back and then I turned another $250 into more. But
So this
if I'd lost,
14,000,
yeah.
so this 14K flat you made over a few days, like what is the biggest like net profit month you've had as a trader?
I normally stop. So 20-ish.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's
Because I
crazy.
stop. Because I'm not
Yeah, yeah.
I think there's a fine line as well between, and I've done it, and that's how you blow accounts. There's a very, very fine line between
Middle ground and greed.
yeah, you get to a point where you're greedy, and then that greed leads to a loss. And then people have done it on YouTube. There was a bloke on YouTube recently, and he was turning $1,000 into something huge. And he was, and I mean, this guy, apparently this guy's nice, and he was trying to help his community, and he built this $1,000 account to like hundreds of thousands, and then he blew it
Yeah.
because what happened was he went from a different person. Like he went from trying to help people because he was helping so many people with all these good trades that he was doing, but then he started over leveraging. He started going against his rules,
Yeah.
and then he ended up blowing a huge part of the account because it was probably a greed factor as well because he was trying to hit numbers. And then if you go over that rule base, you're going to stuff it up. And I think I know my edge. And if you go, it's a very fine line between going over that edge and having, all right, what happens if say, for example, if I don't pull myself out of the trades up with 3 losses, you're going to turn into 6. And
Yeah.
then you're trying to make up on
Hmm.
that 6, and then that starts, you start digging yourself a hole versus building yourself a mound to sit on, I guess.
And like, it's crazy to see where you've come from. You know, a complete beginner a few years ago. Like, I literally remember speaking to you, and you really didn't have any idea about analysis.
I had nothing to do with anything. I didn't know what a chart was. I didn't know. I was completely free. I only had started looking at crypto as an overall, and then I seen a chart, and I was like, and I said, oh, if there's a chart in front of me, surely someone knows how to read this chart, and I knew that person for me.
Like for
Yeah,
me to see you go from, because it feels like yesterday when you first came on
it goes
board,
quick. It goes
to see
quick.
you literally go from knowing really nothing about the markets to doing $14,000 over a few days, doing $20,000 months, man. Like it's all on you, bro. So good work to win that, man. Like obviously I've helped with the education side, but dude, like for you to do that, they're pretty big numbers, man. Like it's only a $50,000 account. Um, you know, like I know a lot of people listening to that, like, oh, only 50 grand, it's a lot of money. Um, but he's only risking 0.25% of it,
Yeah,
right? So you could trade with a 15, 20 grand account with 3% risk, it'd be pretty much the same.
yeah.
Um,
Just
and it's
reverse engineer the numbers, and that's how you make it.
essentially the
So,
numbers.
yeah.
But man, fuck, congratulations on that. And I think you've been a really good leader inside the community anyway. You've helped heaps of guys. Like, talk to me about like the funded route because I know like a lot of guys in our group has always get fund. They like we've got so many funded traders who
I've
go
done
out
it.
there.
Yeah,
They get
you've seen that one that I did quickly the other week.
yeah. You pass the challenge in like 3 days, like 3 trades. Talk to me about it. Like,
Um,
what do you recommend for a beginner? Like in terms of do they go the funded route or do they just start on small capital themselves?
okay, so I think say I was young again, and you don't have the capital, 100% fund route.
Yeah,
And the reason why I say the funded route is, which I'm going to start, that's my goals next year. Um, I got big goals for myself, but go down the funding route because so you have to play their game, which then you have to put your mindset in their game to start off with. You can't trade, depending on who you're with, you can't trade high news. You can trade X amount before high news, after high news.
There's max drawdown.
Max drawdown, max daily drawdown, max account drawdown.
Creates good habits.
There's not bad things, but yeah, correct.
They create good habits. I agree. I agree with you.
So if you go to that and you don't have the capital, you're going to have to risk your own. So you're going to have to go from that demo to a small account if you don't have enough cash. But even if it's $1,000, do the math on, okay, if I turn that $1,000 into $1,200, $200 profit, and you're risking the percentages, look at it a way where, all right, now you just have to bring yourself into looking at bigger numbers on the screen.
Yeah.
Because that's the other factor.
Yeah.
So you have to do live, because depending on that live account, I think that live account has to be something we, not saying worried about losing, but it means something about losing.
Yeah, I agree with you. And there's a lot of people out there that say to traders, risk money that you're willing to lose. And I think I agree.
That's dangerous.
I agree with that, but it also is dangerous because you need to care about it.
Yes.
Otherwise, you're not going to get to the point where you're doing the data, you're doing the journaling, you're doing the proper trade stuff that you need to do.
Yeah.
If you don't care about the money you're funding into your trading account and you're risking 30% of trade, no wonder 90% of traders lose money, man.
But then you carry that. Sorry.
They're trying to turn $1,000 grand overnight, and it's impossible.
But then you carry those bad habits. You can't have that mindset of not running with stop losses or doing whatever you want to do on that small account that doesn't really matter to you. Then you can't take that into the prop firm because you have to play their game.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if you say it's demo money or real money or whatever that, as long as you get a payout at the end.
Yeah, that's all that matters.
That's the game that we're in. We're again the game of making money. So if you transfer that into, you might work your butt off and it takes a month to get your prop firm account, but then you take those dirty little habits into that prop account, they'll take that account off you and they won't have any stress at all doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you're back up to square one. So like, if you just, it has to be money that you are happy to lose, because it can't be something ridiculous, because if it's something ridiculous and it means too much to you, when you dig yourself that hole, I don't think you personally get out of it because it means too much.
Very hard. Yeah, like I've seen people who, so we do strategy calls, right? People jump on and we basically show them how our strategies and our education works, and we talk to them about what's going on with their trading. And man, like, I've heard horror stories of people who never learned how to trade. They just thought it was easy, quick money. They put in 50 grand and they blow it. And it's very hard. People don't understand drawdown, right? If you're down 50 grand, you pretty much have to make 100 back, 100% back to make any money. And I think the quicker that you learn about those diminishing returns and drawdown and risk management, like, that's the most important thing for anyone, is risk management. Because if you're not in the game long enough to get good, you're not going to get good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think and that thing is a lot different for depending on who you are. It could just be your mindset coming into trading. It's so many factors. Everybody is completely different. But if you literally sit yourself down and just set yourself rules after you've got a sample of data, because I think you almost do have to go a little bit rogue on demo data.
Yeah.
To then learn where your limits are. Yeah. Because I don't think also, and then like not giving yourself too strict rules where you have to give yourself targets. You have to give yourself, all right, if I don't reach this target, how much of a drawdown do I want for the day? How much am I willing to lose? Because it's like saying you go to work every day for a year and you have one shitty day and then you wreck your whole career.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what people do.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
Pretend like you're going to work and you have one bad day. Everybody's going to have a bad day at work.
Just get back tomorrow.
Yeah. It's like saying one of my workers had a bad day and it's the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. I just had a bad day. They're going to come back tomorrow, and how they come back tomorrow, well, it's either that's when you have to guide them, or they pick it up themselves and it's nothing different. I think that's where people have to take it into account of just because you have one bad trade, it's not the end of the world. Maybe if you have 5 bad trades, it's still not the end of the world. As long as you're looking at that data and then taking that data and using it efficiently to at least get a winning trade underneath your belt. It is a confidence game. But at least turn something, don't think of it as negative. That's another thing. A loss is not a negative.
Yeah, it's a lesson.
It's a lesson. It's the market was manipulated and just not your
You'll learn more
day.
loss than it wins, but
Yeah.
for sure.
But with the community, use the community around you. Believe it or not, like John called me just then. So I've still keep in contact with a good 3-4 people on the time. I think a lot of people, once they're beginners and they come up with other beginners, I keep in contact with those beginners that are now John's funded.
Yeah. Rug veg.
Yeah, he's got a part-time job. Like even I've got like a part-time job, I call it, because I go help my mate do some auto electrical work to some cars, like high-end cars, because I found after 15 years of being on the tools and creating,
You
I missed it.
Yeah.
So it's nothing wrong having another outlet. So like what I get paid for him is I haven't even sent him an invoice. But it's
Just
something where
D for 15 minutes.
What's that?
You just hit the GBP USD.
Well, that's the thing. So then I go there and it's an outlet, but that helps me as a trader because I do that in the early parts of the week while the market's kind of setting up. And I get it a bit of an outlet. I get outside the house because that was another factor. So everybody's different. And that's what people got to work, what works for them. So if you can't trade New York, well, it's not the end of the world. You just have to find another little edge.
Yeah, exactly.
If you've got to wake up at 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock the next morning to go to work, don't wreck your job to become a trader because that's not going to work either. You're going to have a happy medium, but as soon as that happy medium comes into that trading world, well, then the trading world can happen really, really quick. And
it happens quick.
Yeah, it happens quick.
That's the thing I was saying with the education. People, they get average results for a little bit, and then once they get profitable, it's sort of just exponential.
Yeah,
and that's what I always say to people: like you're literally you're a bit of time in the market away from getting there, man.
Yeah.
And like I appreciate you coming on. I don't want it to be too long form because people won't watch it.
Yeah.
I can mate, thank you. Thank you for everything. Thank you for all the tips. And I think if we're going to dial in on a few things that you've said, I think it's data. You've mentioned data a lot, and that's something that you swear by. It's like you got to know your edge. You have to know your win rate. You have to know where you're wrong on the trade, whether that's invalidated or just where you want to be out.
Yeah.
So that's a big one. Is there anything else that you'd add?
I would say use the people around you in a positive way by like collecting data off them, asking people just genuine questions. There's a fine line between asking and then harassing. So don't become one of those people. But asking, all right, like say for example, you posted a trade, just send a personal message to them. What did you do? And you might not get it. They might give you something.
Find it, yeah.
Yeah. So collect the data on yourself as a person. You might not. I think even if you're an average trader, I think 9 times out of 10 is probably going to still probably make you the same amount of money as a 9 to 5.
Literally,
I think. And in saying that, it then creates. I think once you get that freedom, you're going to become naturally a better trader. It's like saying you're going to become a good at your job within 4 years. You become good at your job in 4 years, but then like things are going to change. You're going to move. You're going to grow, and then everything's going to grow as a trader as well. So I think a lot of people put heaps of pressure on them without collecting data. If you've got the data, and I think also there's a fine line between having data and then too much data and knowledge where you start overthinking.
Yeah.
So, like almost beat your head in the wall before you enter the office and have that clock in, clock out, like I am trading, full focus, phone away. The phone can come back, like the phone can come back for me now, but I have to legit put my phone away.
Yeah. And I think what you just said there is, like, I want to just elaborate on that. The data, like, there's a difference between having data on the trade setup that you take instead of, like, you don't want data on every single trade setup that you've ever taken. You want data on the most profitable trade setup that you're continually going to trade in the future.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean? Like,
Yeah.
no point knowing, okay, the data of this is X, the data of this is Y, when you're never going to take those setups.
Yeah.
It's like, find your trade setup, find the style in which you trade, and then dial in on that data. So you know.
And then what's going to happen is the easiest way I can say it, you'll be the same. You can open a chart and you might not even trade that pair, or you might not even know anything about it, but then reading a chart is almost like reading a book.
Yeah.
And then you have to convert that from, the way I see it is, I can open a chart, I can read you the whole story of what was happening, but then you transfer that to a live data where then you start bringing live data into your head. And then it's whether you are that person who enters early and you can run with that, or you're that person that runs and waits for that little bit more confirmation, or you enter a little bit later to have that confirmation. But that all comes back to data. Everything's data related to that person. So
love it.
Yeah.
Mate, thank you for jumping on.
Anybody and everything, yeah. Like, I think as long as you put yourself in, I think if you put yourself in the market where you're happy with whatever is produced, no matter what the outcome is, and you're trying your hardest, I think anybody can become good at anything. It's not about trading; it could be anything.
You're like a monk, bro. You've turned into a trading monk.
I'm actually a lot more calmer these days.
All right, bro. Well, I appreciate you catching up, man. We'll wrap it up there. Guys, comment any questions for Dan. This will be on YouTube. So subscribe, like the channel. I appreciate you guys for watching. Thanks for coming, Dan.
No problem.
Cheers, brother.
Take care.
Bye.